Hey guys, welcome to The Way Back. This is our first instalment of our 12-month sobriety video. This is Steph.
Hi guys. So we thought it would be interesting to structure our 12-month video blog based on kind of our thoughts over the last few days doing some hiking and just the well, it's kind of a metaphor for getting sober over the last year. We wanted to kind of talk about the ups and downs and the tough bits and the easy bits, and we were going to kind of bring that into it. So hope you enjoy.
And what we didn't mention is Steph lives in Canada and I'm in UK.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've actually met and been together, and we've spent a couple of days together and it's been awesome.
It's been really good
to celebrate our 12 month sobriety.
Yeah.
So it's a really good occasion.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to The Way Back. My name's Glenn, as I hope you all know, and this is Steph. Say hello, Steph.
Hey guys.
So as you can see, we're out of the wind and rain from yesterday, and this is our 12-month celebration video, which I personally, and I guess Steph as well, has been itching to make. So we're hoping that we're going to cover all the points very quickly, if we can, of our journeys, although extremely similar, very, very different. So we're just going to go into every stage of it. Now I'm talking too much, so I'm just going to pass you over to Steph.
Yeah, so over the last few days, Glenn and I have done some hiking, which I'm fairly new to. Glenn has done a lot more of that sort of thing. But it occurred to me when we were hiking, where were we hiking? Which one was it?
Whernside.
As we were climbing, like I knew going into it that it was going to be difficult, that it was going to be, physically demanding and mentally demanding, and I was ready for the challenge. But again, hiking is something that's new to me, so it was difficult. So it occurred to me as we were hiking that there were, there's stages, like you're first setting off and you're warming up and it's hard to catch your breath, and you're
also visualising, because the path's directly in front of you.
Yeah.
So that path you equate to your journey.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the thing, is I was sort of equating the entire hike to, I didn't do this purposely, it just sort of came to me that it was similar to the sobriety journey. So the beginning was tough. It was like, I didn't want to do this. I don't feel like being here. It kind of sucks. I was trying to catch my breath, trying to get warmed up, but it was also like, oh, this is out of my comfort zone. I'd rather be sat inside with a cup of tea right now or whatever. Like, it just didn't want to be, your body's kind of screaming out, like, your legs, and it's not a nice feeling as you're starting off. Then you start to build a little bit of momentum, and I'm doing this. This is cool. And that made me feel like, I don't know, maybe a good month into sobriety, it was like, yeah, this is cool, I'm doing this, because I've never personally, it's different from your story, but I had never managed to go a day without a drink.
Yeah.
For many years. So for me to be able to go like a week, it was like, I've done a week, although I was still really white knuckling it at the beginning. But by a month, it was like, yeah, this is cool, I'm doing this.
Momentum.
Yeah, the momentum, I was feeling really good. And then there were other times in the hike when it started to get more difficult, and you're looking up, and it's your legs are starting to really ache, and
it's having to go through the fight again.
Yeah, exactly.
Only in hiking terms, but you've done the initial bit. It's plateaued slightly, or you've gone a little bit downhill. Lungs are coming back. You're starting to feel good, and then boom, it's there again in front of you.
Exactly, and I can't remember specifically on my journey times that were difficult like that, but I think probably around like sort of 3 months or 4 months, there were times when it was like, oh, this is really hard, and I'm really struggling. And as you know, I had what we called my witching hour for at least 90 days, if not longer.
So that's what. So let me just jump in. Let's bring that back now to our journeys, because it's a great analogy. So let's talk about the journeys. The starting points. Forget all the basics. We know we can never drink again. So sorry, first of all, we admit we have a drink problem that we need to address. We know we can never drink again.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
to emphasise that. Ever. Never, ever drink again.
No.
You have to have that 100% in here. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless what you're going to put yourself through. So we've made the decision to stop. How was it for you? Let's just break it down and let's just talk about the first 30 days first of all.
Okay.
Yeah?
Well, for me, and for anyone who's heard my story on our other videos, I was at the point of, I knew I was going to die if I carried on living the way I was living and drinking. So it was really life or death for me. It wasn't I'm drinking too much, I should really stop. It was, if I don't stop, I am going to die.
Yeah.
So it was pretty dire for me. So the first 30 days, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
The first 30 days was it was a bit surreal. It was a bit of a I don't know, it's hard to explain. I was on adrenaline, I wasn't sleeping much.
And you had to taper as well, didn't you?
I did have to
That's
taper
really
off.
important.
I did
on
have
your
to taper
journey.
off. I was pretty severely physically addicted to alcohol. I had to have it. If I had just gone cold turkey, I could have died. So I had to slowly taper over about 10 days.
10 days.
It was 10 or 12. I don't really remember. It was that was the other thing I was going to say about that first 30 days. It was a bit of a fog. It was,
Oh, it is.
total sleep deprivation. Excited about this life change, but also terrified, absolutely terrified that I wouldn't be able to do it. And I thought, if I can't do it now, I'm never going to do it, and I'm going to die. So it was really this kind of life or death kind of situation I felt like I was in. So, and I've said many times on videos and whatnot that I had to put everything into the quit. And it's because I was so terrified.
Yeah.
So that first 30 days, it really just felt like climbing Mount Everest. I mean,
Well, it does.
I was terrified, and I was exhilarated, and I was excited, and it was like once I'd made that decision, I'd made that jump, I was doing it, and I had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. For me, slightly different. I won't go into all the details, but I had quit before, so I was a little bit of an expert in this. I'd managed a few times I'd quit, but the last time before this I got sober for 5 months and actually thought I could moderate again, talked myself back into moderation, which was ridiculous, and of course relapsed, and took me around about 6 months to get back on track. So the initial quitting for me was relatively easy. For me, where Steph was more dependent on it, although I was drinking a litre of whiskey a day, it was more habit-based for me, or that's how it felt. It was, I just had to break this early couple of days habit of not pouring drinks. And that's what we did. I mean, there was a lot for me, there was a lot of support, obviously yourself, the group we were on at the time. I was ready. I'm all about numbers. I've got some odd stuff going on with me, and I draw lines in the sand, and like, this is going to be day one for me. And I was really up against it with work and stuff, so there was a lot of pressure to do it. So anyway, yeah, the first 30 days, bloody difficult. Let's be honest. You've got to go into it with almost a fighter's attitude. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. Man up, get ready for it. Don't bitch about it. We can never drink again. Don't ask questions. Is it going to get any easier? It is what it is. You've just got to put the time in and get through it, by however means you can. Not speaking for Steph, but Steph absolutely threw herself at it. Ridiculous. It was a 24-hour, 24/7 lifestyle for Steph. She was on all these groups. She was helping every man and his dog, posting videos. It was ridiculous. It was relentless. But that's the way she needed to do it.
Yeah.
For me, a little bit easier. It was more about just racking up days, and because I'm not saying I wasn't addicted. It was a habit. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this particular time round, I knew I could quit for a couple of days. So it was about getting into that habit of getting some days under my belt again.
And can I just say, you also kind of had a thing about getting to 5 months, or 5 months in a day, because you.
And that was almost from day one.
From day one, I just have to get to where I was.
I mean, how mad's that? So you've just, totally, I'd forgotten about
that.
But
I think a lot of people go through that who've relapsed.
Just
want to get back to where they were.
But not, but it just sounds mad how you said it. Yeah, you absolutely, I'd forgotten all about that. Yeah, so on my day ones and day twos, on that last time round, I was like already thinking I need to get to 5 months and a day just to get back to where I was. And this is after a 6-month full binge relapse. Crazy. So yeah, just quick summary for that first 30 days for anyone new who's ready to attempt it. For me, I've said this before a few times. What I need to say first of all, obviously there's lots of methods to quit. You have to do whatever suits you. Don't get put off by anyone who says, oh, this works, this doesn't work, don't go to them. It's rubbish. Go try it for yourself. Yeah, if you try a system, it doesn't work, then fine. We tried a lot of different things in the past, but this time round, we wanted to do it ourselves. We kind of had our own. Well, we created a little system, I guess, as we went, of what worked for us. We obviously share the same sobriety date, which is obviously amazing. And
4 days from now.
4 days from now, it'll be 12 months, yeah. So that's kind of special. We'll talk about that bond a little bit later on, that connection, but. Yeah, first 30 days we were bouncing off each other, as you can imagine. I had a lot of experience, and we both had a lot of experience, so it was really easy to talk it through. But you have to know it's bloody hard, and many days and nights within that first 30 days, it would have been so easy to go get a bottle, and just start again, because it's bloody tough. And you need to expect that you're not going to sleep. Be ready for it. You're not going to die from that. You might not sleep for 30 days. You won't die.
I had myself convinced that I would die if I didn't sleep. I mean, I drank to sleep for years, and then it was. I posted it on the group that I wasn't sleeping in it. When was I going to sleep again? And people just said, just hang in there.
Yeah.
Just see it through, you will sleep again. And I think I went close to 10 days without sleep.
Yeah, I remember it really well.
And it was horrendous. It was horrendous. But I just sucked it up. I knew that I would have, when it was bedtime, I would just go into my room, lie down, turn off the light, but basically stare at the ceiling, and I would just lie there all night. I probably slept a little bit.
And on top of that, you've got all the other stuff going on at the time. So it's not just you sat. Steph wasn't just laid there worrying about, God, when am I going to get to sleep? You got the drinking voice, the monkey, the void, whatever you want to call it, at you.
Yeah.
Go get a drink, go get a drink, go get a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, remember, I did relapse very early on, because our shared sobriety date was after I had a couple of drinks one night to try and sleep. My tapering off happened a few weeks before that.
Yeah.
But there was one night I just was fed up with not sleeping. I went and drank a few beers, didn't do anything, and thought, right, okay, that's it. I just have to see this through.
Yeah.
And for me, the first 30 days was about insomnia, the lack of sleep, the voice, or the cravings, really. I wouldn't call it the voice so much. It wasn't like, it was just actual physical cravings.
Then there's so much habit with it as well.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to call everything an addiction, but it's you've done this for years, so it's very difficult just to break silly habits of having things in certain places or routines. Yeah.
But I had actual physical cravings for a good, I don't know, at least 2 or 3 weeks. But during my witching hour, 7 to 9, 10 p.m., any little thing, with the kids or whatever that would irritate me, I would feel it so intensely, and really wanted to drink to just take the edge off of everything that was, annoying me or getting on my nerves.
So I think that's a perfect point. I'll just jump in there. So this video is kind of based a lot on someone watching us for the first time, and we're celebrating 12 months sober. So that 30 days, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be ready for everything. There's no what ifs and that anymore. If you carry on drinking, if you're watching this, you've got a massive drink problem, and it's not ever going to get better. Ever. It's only going to get worse. Just because you've had a rock bottom, don't think that's as worse as it gets. rock bottoms never end. Rock bottoms just keep getting lower and lower and lower until you're dead.
Yeah, there's a trap door to the rock bottom.
Certainly is. Certainly is. So I think that covers the first 30 days. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. It's the hardest thing we've ever done. But what we didn't do, we have in the past, but this time round we didn't give in to any of it. We wanted to, but we'd made a commitment to ourselves, to each other, to others, that no matter how bad this gets, we'd plough through it. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
So I think, quick summary, first 30 days, when you're back with your mountain analogy, it's all uphill.
Yeah, it was
Be ready for it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for a world of shit for 30 days-ish.
And you don't know what's coming. You don't know what when or it's going to get better. When you're going to start to feel good, feel happy, feel excited. It's uphill and it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to recap, don't bitch about it. Don't want to speak out of turn, but over the years, I've so many people bitch about the early days. It is what it is. Man up, do whatever you got to do. When's this going to happen? When's this going to happen? It'll happen when you put the effort in. Just concentrate on, no matter what, you're not going to pick a drink up. And that's all you have to worry about. Nothing else.
Just don't drink.
That's it.
Yeah.
Eat as much bloody shit food as you want. Yeah? I'm not saying that's how you should do it, but don't try to do a massive diet or worry because everyone expects weight to fall off you. If you need to pick a bit of food up in between, maybe not stuff yourself silly because the sugar thing's a problem. But
that's a whole other issue.
Don't really worry too much about eating in the first 30 days. If you need to eat, not a problem.
Then again, I just need to say, because you know me,
Food expert.
it's different for everyone. And as you said in the beginning, I threw myself at this. I put everything into it, so I left no stone unturned.
Yeah.
I went to a few AA meetings, not many, but I did. I was on the group constantly. This is our online, our Facebook secret support group. I was there constantly. I was making connections. You and I and a few other people in the group started video chatting.
Yeah.
I was writing in a journal. I was reading lots of books.
You've slightly jumped a gun on the timescale level. That's not first 30 days.
That I was doing all those things?
Yeah.
No, but the point
manners,
I was making was just with the food thing.
Right.
That was, I mean, I was already eating healthy, but that was another aspect of it that I covered, and I think a lot of people do this, and I think it's a good idea. Go see your doctor, get all the blood tests done, get the scans. I sought out an addiction counselor, so I started that probably at about 2 or 3 months, I think, because there was a waiting list. But I left no stone unturned. That was the point I was making, is that I threw myself into it with nutrition. I looked up what nutrients to make sure to get when you're coming off alcohol. The amino acids are very important. The B vitamins, I mean, you can, I could do another video on that, but
and she will.
I know will, but there are just so many nutrients that are important as well. So I left no stone unturned. That's the thing.
I mean, we call each other the ultimate sober warriors. We've got total respect for each other, but I can honestly say hand on heart, that's how you do it. You know, she threw everything. This is someone who was going to die, who was chugging down a litre of bloody neat vodka just to feel normal. So for everyone drinking out there who's watching this lady had it as bad as you can get it. And look at her now, you know, so, and that's just hard work. That's it. Yeah. Hard work, persistence, that's it. Just one thing I'm going to jump in and say on about the first 30 days. A little bit of good cop, bad cop. A lot of people when you're talking to them on the groups and stuff, they have excuses already before they start.
Yeah.
And that frustrates me. You know, I'm drinking this amount. Can I go cold turkey? Do I need to taper? I daren't come off and start shaking. DTs are extremely dangerous. But you know your own body. Don't just not do anything because something might happen. I'm not telling anyone to go cold turkey. I did because I knew I could. But even if I'd gone cold turkey for 24 hours, if I'd have started to feel shit, I'd have had a drink and then gone to the doctors. Don't find excuses. Just, make it happen. Sorry, I'm going off on one slightly, but I just like people, you make your decision and just plough through and do it.
Yeah.
Right, enough of the first 30 days. Uphill struggle all the way.
Uphill struggle, 30 days. Yeah.
Days, and this is not word for word on these days, but the second stint, the 30 to 60 day mark.
I'm kind of struggling to remember. I can say that I know I started to feel better. I was sleeping. I was getting into an exercise routine. I wouldn't say that I was set in a new routine. I was still having to kind of make myself do it. It wasn't. It hadn't become a new habit yet, but it was being established. I was making connections, and that was great. So I was making a lot of friends on the group, yourself included. However, given our time difference, and I was going to mention this before when I talked about my witching hour or whatever, the times in the evening when I found it most difficult, you were already in bed asleep. Yeah. So it was people in like Australia and other people in the US and Canada that were in my time zone that I really had to lean on at those times when I was really struggling. It was usually the next day I would say to you, like, I really struggled last night. I thought about drinking and had to, reach out to someone.
So there's just jumping quick. So there's a great argument there to get yourself on support groups, global ones.
Absolutely.
You might not want to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
She was covered 24 hours, 24/7 by people around the world who had her back.
Yeah, and all you have to do is go on and post that you're struggling and you're thinking of drinking, and there will be a number of people will jump to help you. Let's have a phone call, let's have a video chat, even if just a messaging chat, to get you through it, and it will get you through it. And the next day you'll be so grateful.
And I have to jump in on that. The point Steph's making out is probably the most important where people go wrong, because they don't reach out. People say they're going to do it, but they don't. When you've been put into the corner by the voice, the monkey, whatever you want to call it, the black hole, the void, when it's backed you into a corner, and if there's no way out, it's just at you, drink, I want a drink, get a drink. You have to come out fighting. And that's when a lot of people, and I would say a massive high percentage of people, go wrong there because they're giving. Because first of all, they try to sit there and deal with it. Mm-hmm. You'll never win that. You have to mix your whole lifestyle up. You might have to just go to bed at 7 o'clock in the evening. Yeah. Some days I did. It's just at you, go to bed, sleep, generally gone in the morning. Little things like that. Maybe you need to go for a run, get out of the house, get some fresh air. Now, obviously I've got kids, I've got this going on. Don't matter, you can do something different. If you look for excuses, you'll find them. Yeah. You have to do something different. You can't take that fight on in the early days. Yeah. And I'm even talking, this is in the 30 to 60 day. You don't need to take that fight on because it'll kill you. The mental battle is too much. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, we did it. There's occasions where we'll battle it for 48 hours. But after that 48 hours, you're really feeling it. And then you're at your weakest again. So you've got to really change it up. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
No, you're right. You're spot on. And I think that's the key for this second sort of stage we're talking about, from kind of 30 days to 60 days, for me, was building those connections.
Yeah.
That was a key for me at that point in time. I was making friends, making connections, and realizing the importance of it. Yeah.
So for me, and I got this before I started this when I quit this time. I knew all this already. Not too sure it was from AA or wherever it was, but obviously the first 90 days are important. So the way it was brought down to me was obviously, as we said, first 30 uphill, but the 30 to 60 it plateaus, and it certainly did for me. It gets a little bit easier. You get over kind of the initial hump. And the habit's not broken, but it's a lot easier to deal with. But I think my take on that is that's when you're at your most vulnerable in this stage, because this really weird thing happens where you start to feel good about yourself. Things are changing. You notice even after 30 days, your tummy might look a bit better. Your face might look like it's lost a bit of weight. Your complexion might look a little bit better. The brain cloud is starting to lift slowly, but you might be thinking a little bit clearer. It's very easy to feel really good and then relapse. I can't really explain why that happens, but it's something to do with feeling so good.
Yeah, that's not something I
It's a
experienced. I'm
strange
not talking
thing.
about the actual
Yeah.
relapse, but just sort of thinking like, oh, life is so good now. I think I'll have a drink. That actually didn't happen to me, but I
Yeah.
have heard other people say
Yeah.
that before, and you certainly
Yeah.
have that experience yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was more so, I didn't have it this particular time round, but in many times in the past when I'd got, because I had managed to stop for 5, 6 and 8 weeks, and I always remember you get to that stage, and it's the simple thing, that's about knowledge. But if I'd had the knowledge then that I have now, that wouldn't have happened. So there's a massive argument to say, yeah, we have to go through all this shit to get to where we are. You know, it's
Absolutely.
it's a massive learning curve for everyone.
Absolutely.
So yeah, for me, 30 to 60 days is plateau, but be so vigilant, because it's very easy, because the drinking voice is a tiny little bit weaker, hopefully, and this is not set in stone. It could your next 30 days, your 30 to 60 could be horrendous. We don't know. Everyone's different.
Yeah, everyone's different.
You know, you've got to be prepared. But I think generally this is very close, you know, to what most people experience. So I'll round it off at that. We'll call it a plateau.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it at that.
So yeah, 30 to 60 days for me, I would say making connections, building friendships, but also putting the building blocks in place sort of for the building and establishing new habits, exercise, eating healthy, all of that.
Yeah.
You're laying that
Totally.
groundwork for that.
Totally. So that brings us on to the next bit, which is 60 to 90, which effectively takes you, obviously, to 90 days, which is very close to 3 months. There's a school of thought out there that 90 days generally breaks a bad habit, no matter what it is. I think there's a little bit of truth in that, but it's not the same for everyone. The way it was, just 1 second, the way it was described for me in, as I said, first 30 uphill, second 30 plateau, final 30, starts to go a little bit easier. I'm not so sure about that, but I'll let you talk about your 60 to 90
Well,
days.
I was just going to say on the 60 to 90, for me, it wasn't so much about breaking an old habit, although they are connected, but it was building the new ones. And yes, the new ones replaced the old ones, but by 90 days, I really felt like I wasn't just trying to establish a habit of exercise. I was a person who exercised every day. It was such a cool feeling too. I remember once deciding I was going to go. I was either to a yoga class or get up early on a Saturday morning and go to the gym. And I remember driving there and thinking like, I remember for so many years thinking, I wonder what it's like to be that kind of person who gets up early on a Saturday, it's 6 in the morning and goes to the gym. Because I could never even fathom being that sort of person. And there I was doing it. And it didn't feel sort of surreal. It was like, I'm actually that person now. And it was just a cool feeling. But yeah, so for me, coming up to the 90 days or, right at that point, it was, I am a different person now. I am someone who goes to bed at night with a cup of tea, reads a book and goes to sleep. I used to make myself pass out, just to be able to sleep. And now I was like, sleeping like a normal person and exercising and eating healthy and not feeling like, it's 5 o'clock, I've got to have a big fat glass of wine while I cook dinner. It was just, it was just establishing those new habits, which helped to get rid of the old habit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Creating the person you wanted to be, very important. So for me, those about 60 to 90. For me personally now, this is where I started to breeze it, and I'm not coming across cocky at all. I found it very easy, and it's because I had 100% come to terms with I can never drink again. Because I've been at it for 2.5 years before this. So I'd put a load of work in, I'd failed so many times, so many day ones. So I'd put the groundwork in. I wouldn't say I put the hard work in, but this time round I was putting the hard work in. So the drinking it was still there, but it was very manageable. But for me, I needed to fill my time with other things now. And this is a little bit thing, this is what I struggled with a little bit. I suffered from quite a lot of boredom, but it was restless boredom. It was like, whatever, I'm 70 days sober, I should be so happy. But I couldn't just sit down in front of a TV and watch a film. still struggle to shut my brain down, racing thoughts. Not about drinking, just about everything. Because for me, when you're drinking, the brain fog's down here and it's just pushing down on you. As soon as, well, pretty early on, 7-10 days, that starts lifting. When you're looking at 70 days plus, it's your brain's not working how it should, but it's working so much better.
'Cause you weren't working yet at that point,
No,
right?
no, and I had a lot of time on my hands.
You had a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah. But I've heard a lot of people talk about that restlessness, and I'd said it many times, and I would have just loved to shut down for a couple of hours and watch a movie.
Yeah.
And not let everything else come in. But I was at that time, completely unable to do that.
Yeah.
Just on the exercise front, I'm not going to go into massive detail, but as Steph said, she was working out. She was creating this new, improved version of herself, and I was trying to do that, but I was all about weight loss because I was way overweight. So I threw myself into that as well, which helped take my mind off. It made the drinking side a bit easier. So I was learning from Steph what I should be. She did a full analysis on me, because my lifestyle was shocking, wasn't it? Which a lot of yours will be. I think.
Because there's a whole connection with the crap eating.
It's bad living, isn't it?
Yeah. If you drink and you lose your inhibitions to eat healthy, and you eat crap, and then you feel like crap, and then you want to drink to. Yeah.
There's two things that me and Steph talk about a lot. We both drank life-threatening amounts of alcohol, is the only way to describe it. Steph thinks she top trumps me, and she probably does actually, with the volume she was drinking. But just bear with me, I'm going to make a point now. So obviously got this lady here who was necking down a litre of neat vodka just to feel right. Got me who...
750 ml, not litre.
Yeah, well that's a lot better. There's me who, I love to drink. I didn't need to drink to feel better. I just never ever had a drink on my hands. So I wouldn't neck it down. A litre of whiskey I would drink that just over the course of a day, but I would do it every day, 7 days a week. And I've completely forgot the point I was going to make.
What we talk about a lot. I think you were going to go into the thing about food nutrition.
Yes, sorry. Thank you. Yeah, the point of this is, so a lot of people then you really start worrying to the damage you've done inside, because you have no idea. You hear all this cirrhosis of the liver, damage to the brain,
cancer.
Well, yeah, everything. I mean, we'd both done, well, between us we've got probably 45-50 years drinking experience between us both, which is hard drinking as well. So the medical side of it starts to get important then, and this kind of ties in with your 60 to 90 day moment, because you start thinking about that, because things are getting clearer. Now, generally, a lot of people who, when they let themselves go that much when they get to that stage of alcoholism, they've let everything else go, so there's not a great deal of fitness, the shit food's going in, but this is my point now, sorry, very long-winded. Steph always looked after herself. Such a healthy eater. Her family is. She's obviously the housewife. Can I say that? Is that not sexist? Steph's the housewife at home who prepared all this super healthy food. On my side, I was a slob, but the one thing I maintained all the way through my drinking was hiking. Not purposely, I just did it. So I do hiking pissed up from the night before. This is what I'm getting back to. I think because I did years of that and the way Steph ate, that's helped us not do as much damage as possibly we could have done.
No doubt. And
Does that make
not only
sense?
was I eating really healthy, because I was a bit obsessed with, nutrition and healthy eating, but I was also seeking out certain nutritional supplements and things that were for prevention of liver damage. I was taking, loads of different milk thistle is one, but a lot of different supplements every day, because, and this went on for several years, but I knew I couldn't quit drinking, but at least if I could I made sure I took my B vitamins because they're quite often depleted in alcoholics. So I knew what the alcohol was doing to my body. So I was taking supplements and making sure I was getting all the right nutrition to counter the damage I was doing from the alcohol. But I couldn't stop. I mean, how insane is that? I knew exactly what the alcohol was probably doing to my brain, to my heart, to my liver, to my my body, to my mind. But because I couldn't stop, I thought, well, at least I can make sure I'm getting all the nutrients that I'm probably losing. That's just insanity.
Yeah.
But yes, most definitely, I think that saved me when I first saw my doctor, and she just did like a brief exam and like kind of checked my liver. She said it was enlarged and hardened, and it was
that ties in to me to this perfect time zone we're talking about. If I'm not wrong, I think that I remember you going, and I remember you went into tears telling me.
Yeah, I was terrified.
And that I think that was around between 60 and 90 days.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't far off.
It wasn't far off, but I know there was a bit of a wait before I could have my liver scan, and so I was taking a load of supplements. I mean, that's the other thing about throwing myself into this completely. I went and searched what supplements to take to, regenerate liver cells and kind of how to come off alcohol more comfortably and all the nutrients that your body needs. So by the time I had the liver scan, my liver was fine, but I really think if I'd had the scan that day when she checked it and said it was hardened and enlarged, it probably would have been, not looking good.
Well, it's scary.
It's very scary.
Because, well, we won't go into all the medical stuff because you guys will know it, but it'll only repair itself so much before it's too late, and then you're stuffed. Yeah. So I think we are very grateful, aren't we, that we didn't do so much damage. I mean, we might go back onto this and towards the end of the video, but there's little bits of damage it's done. Yeah, we'll go back to that at the end. But yeah, I got checked out as well. I had an MOT, as they call it in the UK. All the blood's done and what have you, round about the 3-month mark, and everything came back clear with me as well, blood pressure and everything. So you've got to think someone's looking after you, haven't you? You know, when you look at everything you've put away, drink wise, and you and that kind of, for us, that only breeds more motivation and inspires you to carry on. Because okay, we're on 90 days now. You know, we've got ourselves sober, and you can say that in 90 days you've got yourself sober. There's a load of other shit to go, but you are sober. You know, massively, it's massive that. But then you know that physically, all being well, you're okay. I've seen it happen before. People who have relapsed, I don't know how it works medically, but that can really tear your body apart. Oh yeah. You get it sober, you get it clean. Yeah. Boom, massive relapse. Things start happening inside, you know, it's scary.
Well, slightly off subject, but something I have noticed since getting sober is how sensitive I am now to things like caffeine and sugar. I never realized that before, and I think back to the thing about people who drink heavily typically have shit diets as well, and you feel like crap all the time every day. But you equate it to being hungover, and you may not realize that like it's the sodium and the sugar and all the crap you're eating, the chemicals in the food. That's all included in that feeling crap every day. It's all the stuff you're putting in your body, and when you clean yourself up and get off the alcohol and have a healthy diet, and then you have like a sugar binge, or you eat like a takeaway and it's tons of sodium, you feel so crap the next day. And then to think back to when you used to do that all the time and have all the alcohol on top of that, no wonder you felt like death. It's amazing to me.
Even I get this, which I never experienced. I know certain foods now that make me feel crap, and I've experienced a few times the food hangover the next day of a big Chinese takeaway or something like that, where it's absolutely delicious and you tuck into it, and you might have worked out all week and you deserve it, but you generally start to feel the effects of how it changes you inside, and it's mind-blowing.
For me, the sugar hangover, one of the worst hangovers I think I've ever had was in sobriety, and I think it was right around it was April.
We're talking chocolate.
It was the chocolate. I'd gone to a wedding, and they had a
remember.
sweets buffet, and when I found it, I was like, woohoo, you know, and just, you know, filled my plate with
Filled your boots.
tons and tons of chocolate and sweets, and just because I could, I wasn't drinking, and so I sat there all night eating all this sugar, and I'd lost quite a lot of weight, so it was kind of like, whatever, it doesn't matter about the calories, and I just let myself have what I wanted, and I woke up the next day, the worst headache, pounding head, dry mouth. I felt hungover like from alcohol. It was horrible. I felt awful all day.
It's the same effects as drinking. It
awful.
feels identical
Yeah.
to a hangover,
It was awful.
to an alcohol hangover.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I'm very careful now with how much
Yeah.
sugar I take in. Anyway, right. So I think we digressed.
So
a bit,
that's so we're at 90 days now. If you've got there, massive pat on the back to everyone who's got there, because it's a hell of an achievement.
Mhm.
Once you're at 90 days, you do deserve a pat on the back from yourselves. You know, you've done the hard work, you've got there, but now you've got a bat on.
Yeah.
You know, you can't sit still anywhere. In my experience, you can't sit still for the first 6 months, I would say. But there's no rule to it. It might be 12 months, might be longer, it might be less for you. But for me, it was, you know, you can't sit. So we've done the 90 days, we've brought the bad habit, we've controlled the drinking. The voice might be there, the witching hours and stuff, but...
So 3 to 6 months then. That would be maybe like the next.
Yeah, can I
time
just
frame.
jump in one thing, but something I missed, but I think it's really important. There's a lot of debate about counting days in the early stages.
Mhm.
Do it! Count days! Day 1, day 2. It's fucking brilliant. I loved it. Yeah.
There's apps you can get for your phone.
Yeah.
The sober time, sober counter.
Yeah.
And they give you a motivational message every day.
Totally.
Tell you how many you can actually set it to minutes, seconds, anything you want.
So you can put your
really.
financials in there, tell you what you've
Oh, yeah.
saved.
Now that's huge for some people. There were a number of people on our support group who, for them, the money was a big part of their motivation to quit. So seeing that every day, seeing what you're saving, and as it adds up over
Huge.
months,
Total huge.
massive.
Yeah, it's massive. Just don't get caught up in these conversations if it's right or wrong to count days. It's rubbish. If you're happy counting days, count days. It will automatically fade away from you anyway. There's an argument out there that if you're counting, it's to an end, as if there's a relapse at the end of it.
Well,
I'm not
I
too
think
sure.
the other issue that sometimes comes up with the counting and whether it's a good idea or not is if you put all of your everything into the actual days you've accumulated, and then you do happen to relapse, then it's this feeling of you've lost something. And I think it's really important just to make that point that you know you haven't lost what you learned. First of all, you haven't lost the healing that your body has done physically, that your brain has done, but also just the things you've learned and the growth and the period of time you've spent not numbing out with alcohol. You've actually learn to sit with your feelings and deal with situations in life and deal with stress and new coping.
You can't. It's impossible
strategies.
to throw that away.
You're not throwing that away. You're absolutely not throwing that away.
But as you just said, you can get hung up on the number there.
Yeah.
We were both massively guilty of that in early stages with others.
Yeah.
We've spoke about it before. We're not going to go into any detail. It was like, if someone had a blip, should you start on day 1 again?
Well, as I said in those early, when we talked about that the last time, for me, I took it personally. It was like, no, you can't do that because that's not the way this works.
Yeah.
Because
you're flat out.
Yeah, I was working
Whole clicking
so hard.
on to keep sober.
Like, no, we all have to play the game the same way. But now I'm completely.
Well, you don't care, do you?
No.
You don't really care.
They can do it their own way.
Yeah. But it's funny that there's many mind shifts for me on the first 12 months. I'm not so sort of, there was so many for Steph, but I've had loads.
Well, you're a mind shifter.
I really am a mind shifter. It's like a superpower. But it's a great thing. I'm happy to be like that because once it shifts, I never ever go back. It's always positive, which I really like, and it's constantly moving forward to better myself. But
just sorry, one more thing about the counting days is that I think it's important for building the momentum.
The snowball
effect. Exactly, like
huge.
And those milestones, the 30 days, the 60 days, 90 days, it's massive. It's
to
such
me,
an ego booster.
and I think we agree on this. It's we kind of signed up for 12 months effectively. You know, it's day 1, day 2. until you get to maybe 3, like you say, the 90-day mark, and then it's month 4, month 5, month 6.
But it was never like 12 months and then...
No, there's not an end to it.
There wasn't an end to it, it was more just getting through sobriety, the recovery part
Completely.
of it. It was, can we just get a year under our belt and then life is going to just
I think
fall into place.
Yeah, everything's going to be perfect. Wrong.
No, but your ability to deal with life.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get
to that. We'll get to that. But okay, so we're on months 3 to 6.
That was 3 to 6.
That's 3 to 6. Yeah. Have I got anything to add to that?
You had a bit of a blip.
I had a blip round about the 6-month mark. A slump, I guess you'd call it.
Mind fart. You got
brain fart. But these are a little bit bigger. This is a big brain fart. It's like diarrhea brain fart.
Yeah.
Too much detail again there, wasn't there? Yeah. So I've had 2 of these in the 12 months. They're very, very strange for me, these slumps. The last... You generally don't know they're coming, but the signs are there, whether I blank them out or not. Things that I should be doing, I stop doing. And it all accumulates in a lack of exercise, terrible eating, dark thoughts for me.
Yeah, I was going to say...
I suffer from that. I mean, suicidal thoughts. As I said, 2 slumps in the 12 months, and both for a period of maybe 1 to 3 days, I can't remember. Certainly on the last one, which I'll go into later, that was around about 2 days. Not wanting to kill yourself or anything, but just start
thinking about it a bit.
Is it worth it? You know, is this it? Why am I here? Kind of thing. And that's... I know now that when... That's kind of my sort of little rock bottom of that particular slump when I get to that. I know it doesn't get any... Obviously, it could get worse, don't get me wrong. I could really go into that. I could do something about it. I could drink. I could relapse. But I've got the tools pre-programmed in me and us. And that kind of stuff runs on autopilot. So I'm in no danger of... I don't even think about relapsing. But these slumps, or this couple of slumps I've had, that's where it's difficult. And I guess this is a great time to talk about the connection side of it for me, because Steph threw herself into the connection side of it. I did personally with Steph, but I wasn't... She was more into it. She was arranging group chats and she would just bang into it, and she had everyone talking and little projects going on, and it was, to me, it was madness. I was like, I couldn't do all that. Excuse me. But just bringing it back to me personally, that's where Steph earned her money for me in these moments, because I had someone who had my back, who could understand why I had these dark thoughts, and it was just someone I could just talk to and just get it all out there, no matter how fucked up it sounded. Because let's face it, there's some thoughts people have you don't really want to talk about, but you need to.
Yeah.
You've
got to have something.
You've got to bring them out and then go through them. And for us, for me, it wasn't a big ordeal. It was just really nice to kind of get it out there, talk it through, and then, as I say, because it's only a very short term thing, it starts to lift, and you can start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel again. But there's a lot of other damage caused. For me personally, I'm just talking about, I would do a lot of unhealthy eating. So while I've been I've tried at this moment in time, from 3 to 6 months, my lifestyle change of how I eat and drink is changing, and I was told what to eat from Steph and what not to eat. So I was in all that, but when this slump started, that just goes out the window completely, and you binge or you just eat shit. So obviously I will start to put weight on again, which then has a negative effect here again, because it goes against everything I don't want to do. So it's a horrible time, and for argument's sake, I'll just say it lasts 3 weeks. It's a horrible time. For me though, from the outside looking in on what I was going through, a lot of people thought there was a relapse coming. So, which I can understand, you know, because it's quite odd behaviour from the outside, but from the inside, it's you kind of know that Well, there's only you who knows if you're going to relapse or not, isn't
Yeah,
there?
I was going to say, I think it is the kind of setup for a relapse.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And I worried about you.
Definitely.
I did actually have...
But all the way through, I did tell you, didn't I? Don't
know.
worry about the
I
relapsing.
know, but of course I did.
But I always knew that wasn't it. But yeah, I guess a lot of people out there will know what they might have their own name for this slump. But I guess you know what it's like. If you've got yourself sober for 12 months or more, or even it's like less, you will know what I'm talking about.
Well, I think it's important to mention as well, just with the first, the first few months, but certainly in the first year, there's a lot of ups and downs. It's a massive roller coaster, but especially early on. So having high highs and low lows is totally normal. A lot of people go through that.
There's no middle ground in that stage. It doesn't sort of stay flat.
Yeah.
It's up or down. It's
Now,
quite difficult to stay in the middle.
I had a few, I don't know, downs that were like, I just didn't have the same motivation, didn't feel quite as pumped as I had, but nothing to the extreme that you had. But I also, for myself, I had a recurrence of eating disorders, which I had in the past, you know. So, but I very quickly sought help from my counselor with the bulimia and anorexia, and that, you know, touch wood, I'm really good now on that. You know, I don't, it's no dieting, no counting calories, you know.
And what you got to understand, it was a major worry. It was a massive concern around about that time.
Yeah,
because it looked like a new addiction had popped up for her.
Yeah, I got down to a really low, dangerously low weight, and wanted to keep losing.
Which is madness.
It's a danger zone for me.
Yeah.
But no, that's all good. So yeah, that was kind of my.
So that's kind of around, as I say, that's kind of the 6-month mark.
Mm-hmm.
So round about that time, and we won't go into all the detail of the vacuum outside. We'll carry on. So round about that time, as I say, we won't go into the details about groups and everything, but we kind of established between ourselves and with a few others that, I don't know, maybe around about the 6-month mark, we called that the second stage of sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to talk about this because this was a big thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't just about. We learned very quickly that there was so much more than just quitting drinking, and you'll all learn that. It's something you probably don't need to look into before. You just need to get yourself sober first of all, but then all this other stuff starts.
We have to learn to live without an addiction.
Yeah.
That's massive. It's a huge undertaking. It's not as simple as just, you just don't do that anymore, because you did that for a reason.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you have to figure out a way to cope with life, which if you are like, you know, most people addicted to alcohol, you started drinking around 15, 16 years old, and you drank your way through everything in life. You know, not completely numbing out necessarily, but certainly taking the edge off, you know, every heartbreak, every, you know, disappointment, every, the highs, the lows, everything in life. There was always a drink there to kind of, you know, round the sharp edges. And you have to learn to live without that. You have to learn to feel feelings.
So, this is what we call recovery, which is a word I bought into massively in the beginning.
But you need it in the beginning.
Because, but I didn't understand it. That's the thing. It was a massive learning curve for me. I'd heard the word recovery many, many times being bandied about. Didn't really understand it. But when I got to, 5-6 months, I fully grasped what recovery meant. Because for me, it was, I've put the drinking to bed as far as I can. But oh my God, I'm left with a world of other shit that this head is racing away with. There's an emptiness, whatever. There was lots of things going on, and for me, that's your recovery stage, and it kind of makes a lot of sense. Where recovery, repairing, or whatever, you know, you're on to the next bit of your journey now. You've done that. That's over there. Can never go back there. But now I've got to deal with this. I mean, we'll just recap slightly for both of us. I had quite impulsive buying, spending money on hobbies.
So now you're talking about cross addictions, like you go with the alcohol, but then you have other stuff that pops up.
Yeah, it's kind of, to fill the time.
Yeah.
But it's actually to fill the hole or the void for me.
Well, I always talk about it as I equate it to that game whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
You know, where it's you put the alcohol down, but then something else pops up. You
Yeah.
hit that down, and it pops
Totally.
up something somewhere else. You know, it's eating disorders, it's shopping, whatever, smoking, could be anything, pot.
Well, yeah, I mean,
When was that? When did you go
it was
through
round about that time. It was halfway through the year. It was round about the 6 months, man.
3 days.
So I had bad eating's a really bad one. That happens a lot. It might only be 1 or 2 day binges, or even 24 hours, but it'll be a hell of a binge, and you've really got to pull it back and get control of it. Spending money just for the sake of it, I had quite a lot of that. Smoking, normal nicotine smoking, that's been an issue because I didn't smoke when I started. Right now I'm still smoking. I haven't smoked for 12 months, but I've smoked for probably 3 of those months now, which we might talk about a little bit later. I also tried marijuana, weed, and it's something that I tried many years ago when I was younger. Didn't do anything for me, and my addictive brain was on the lookout for something, and it thought weed might be the answer to take the kind of edge off or to fill that hole. I tried it for about 3 days all in, from start to finish, and the amount that happened in those 3 days was bloody scary and mind-blowing. There was a point where I was, from someone who didn't smoke weed, in the period of 70 odd hours, I turned into like a stoner. It wasn't just a puff here, a puff there to take the edge off.
You started at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. It's bizarre. The addiction, this is what I want you to get over. The addiction was right back. Yeah, on something completely new. It didn't even make me feel like alcohol made me feel. I was smoking too much of it, so I felt shit. I was stoned, almost to the point of being sick. But the addiction wanted more, and it was on that day 3 of that. It was 3 consecutive days, continuous days, and obviously we were talking about it, and it was blatantly obvious that it was an issue. But luckily for me, on that day 3, I was like, right, no way, I can never touch this stuff again. Didn't even enjoy it, any of it. I can guarantee I didn't. But I knew my body, the addiction, wanted me to carry on doing that.
Well, like for me with the eating disorders, you know, you think, okay, I'm not drinking, that's great, you know, but these other things will pop up into your life, and you don't realize how quickly you can become addicted to it. Now, I know I've said this before, eating disorders are not technically classed as an addiction, they're a mental illness, but there's a very addictive quality to them. You become addicted to the weight loss, addicted to the binging and the purging, and it's there's a lot of similarities to addiction to substances. It is basically a behavioral addiction. But yeah, I think that cross addictions are something that creep up for a lot of people. And I think for me, a lot of it was exercise. Like, you know, that was it was good that I was exercising and I was using that to replace the habit of drinking. But then I took that to a bit of an extreme, and I was working out every day because I was giving it my all.
And then you went to gym as well.
Yeah, you know, I lost the weight and then was getting fit, and I got a little bit addicted to that. And I think I've seen other people do that as well. You know, you get addicted to the fitness. It's not a terrible thing. It's just, I guess the point I'm trying to make, it's always balance. You have to second.
It's not terrible, but what you were aiming for was unmaintainable.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm speaking over
No,
you.
you're right.
But what you're not saying, I think, is really important. This wasn't just working out. Steph had developed this picture in her head of how she wanted to look. She started to lose all this weight. She felt much better, more I don't know if attractive is a word, but you loved yourself.
Felt better, yeah.
But then she went a stage further, and she wanted what we'd call in the UK the beach body, where, you know, you could see your abs, or you could see your biceps and your triceps, not muscle bands.
Yeah, I
or
started
anything.
doing weight training, and I was trying to get, you know,
you know,
toned and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that when you have an addictive personality, you're not just like I hate to call normal people compared to people like us, but
Yeah.
there is a normal exercise lifestyle
Yeah.
that can be kept in check.
Yeah.
And then you take a person who's an addict,
Yeah.
and you give them something new like exercise and fitness and getting
Yeah.
getting pumped, and they'll take it to the extreme.
Yeah.
It's the all or nothing mentality.
Totally.
So you do have to be careful. And again, I was going to say with the cross addictions, you have to constantly check your motivation for things, why you're choosing to do any behavior, whether there's nothing wrong with a bit of shopping.
Yeah.
But when you go completely mad and you blow your savings on something ridiculous, then it's okay, that's the extreme. So, and with eating disorders, with food, you said in the beginning there's nothing wrong with, having a bit of a blowout on chocolate or whatever if it keeps you sober. Yes, in the early days, but then
Still got to watch it, haven't you?
you have to watch it, because if you have an addictive personality, you will swap the alcohol for chocolate, you will swap it for porn, you will swap it for shopping, you will swap it for an eating disorder, you will swap it for anything else. The key is to start to look at the why you feel the need to fill this hole with something, whatever it is, and start dealing with those issues and learning new coping skills in life, and then those things start to fall away, which I think we've both seen.
It's a long process, and we're both not there, and I don't think many people get there in a year. It's you keep asking yourself why all the time and get to the bottom of it, but it's a long road, this one.
I feel like I'm pretty close though.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I use anything to deal with
True.
to cope anymore.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Where are we up to?
Where are we at? That was sort of 9 months.
So that's, so, I mean, for us now, the drinking at 9 months had gone. I think we could both pretty much say that.
I knew I was done.
You know, we kind of knew, you're always vigilant, you can come across cocky when we say that, but we kind of put that to bed. All the other improvements were starting on going. I had a much healthier eating pattern. Wasn't a diet any longer. I'd changed everything and what I was eating and drinking. I was a lot more balanced, and I put the hard work in because it went against what I wanted to do, but I listened to Steph, and then the scales tell you that you're doing it right. Every couple of weeks, a couple of pounds disappear, but it was every couple of weeks, constantly. It wasn't up and down, and then you do that over months, and you've lost a load of weight at the end of it. Not going hungry, no madness diets like I used to do, yo-yoing. So that was a big thing for me, because I finally felt, I felt that the weight was coming off, and I kind of knew it wasn't going to go back on this time.
Yeah, it's about lifestyle change and finding balance, and
it's that was a nice realisation for me that, okay, if you stick to this and you do it this way, you're going to get what you want. Which is excellent. That's really nice. But then again, a massive part of the journey is you start to realise you can do what you want. Once, we're talking 9 months sober now, you've got realisations there that you can be what you want to be.
Yeah.
And you might have to go for a world of shit to get what you want, but it's the options there if you want it.
Yeah.
You can, you've turned your life around with the drink, but you can turn other areas in life around as well. It's amazing, and we've all got our own individual journeys with that. I'm not going to go into it. It could be problems at home, family, whatever, job. There's lots of things out there, but you're now in a position at 9 months to have a look at these and really think about them. You might not, maybe not physically do anything about them, but start building a mental picture in your head of what you want, which is a massive thing. I think for us...
Well, it's self-confidence too, isn't it?
Yeah.
And back to the momentum thing of the early sobriety, but you have built this momentum of like seeing these changes you've made, and you see that you can do this. You can actually lose a load of weight, or you can get fit, or quit drinking, and it really builds self-confidence, because for years and years when you're drinking every day, you're drinking too much, or you're eating shit food, whatever, every single time you make that choice to pour that drink or get that crap food, whatever, it undermines your self-worth. The little bit of self-worth you have, it just completely undercuts it, and you hate yourself even worse because you made the choice to do something is so bad. So when you have months of the opposite, where you're making the right choices and doing the right things and changing your lifestyle and actually sort of fitting into that, the habits that you're doing every day or becoming, they're becoming set habits.
Totally.
It just builds and builds and builds your self-confidence, where you do feel like, by, like say 9 months or so, you really feel like you can do anything. You start to get that back, and the brain fog is lifted even more, and you really start to feel normal.
Yeah, that just ties in actually. So now we'll just go from like 9 months to the 12 months. Yeah, for me, and I guess for Steph almost, there's not a great deal happened, has there? Of the drinking from, it's kind of...
In fact, I was going to say between 9 and 12 months, I think it's a bit of a backing off of all of the recovery, needing it. It's the new lifestyle habits have been established. Life is moving on. You're getting on with things, and it's time to like go. Okay, right. I've put this to bed. I've new chapter. Turn the page.
Totally.
And
it's a nice time.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing really dramatic.
Yeah.
That you have to fight. We've still got things going on, but it's a nice time.
Yeah, for me it feels like kind of a turning the page to starting my life.
Yeah.
And
There's definitely a milestone for 12 months, massive one. I've started almost counting days again just to get there, which is
days?
4 days. And before that, very rare. Steph never counted days. Now and again, I'd message her and say, happy 289th day or something. You'd find it, wouldn't you? You'd be like, well, I didn't have a clue, but that sounds great.
Yeah. Why 289?
I don't know. 290 then?
Okay.
Whatever.
Well, that's probably why I wasn't counting like odd days.
But it was, no.
But no, you did say.
But it was always nice to check on. But yeah, where I am at now, I'm a little bit desperate to get to 12-month thing, and then that'll be back to normal with the counting numbers and that, and then that's you've not done it. It's wrong to say you've done what you wanted, but you kind of have. You've got the drinking side under control.
Well, I think statistically speaking, if you can reach a year, you're well on your way to living a new life that's not going to, not going to include addiction.
Yeah.
I think you always have to keep it in check, and you always have to, we'll see. I think we'll always have to be aware.
Always,
I have never, in this entire year, entertained the idea that a drink would be nice. I've had witching hours. I've had times when I really wanted to drink, but I have never thought, oh, you know what, a glass of wine might be nice.
Yeah.
Never once. And I can't imagine ever entertaining the thought and thinking that I could actually just have a drink.
No.
So here's hoping that never does happen.
Well, we've got the tools. We're both running autopilot now. There's things that go on in our brains now that deal with anything that comes up.
Yeah.
And I'm a real firm believer in that that's why I won't relapse, because I've got the tools now that will just deal with it automatically. I think we're getting close to wrapping this up.
Yeah.
But I think what would be really cool is if we both did an individual summary of where we are and what we are. And I can go first if you want.
Go right ahead.
In fact, just so you know where I'm coming from with it. So, 12-month summary for Mr. Glenn Barclay. I'm a massively improved person from where I was 12 months ago. Nowhere near the finished article. Could still be an arsehole. I've always known I'm an arsehole, and I know when I'm being an arsehole. Am I laughing? But it's definitely getting less and less, which is great for me because I don't want to be an arsehole. But just as a person, I'm pretty happy with myself right now, of how I am. I know where I want to be. I know how to get to that person as well. I just need to continue the stuff I'm doing. So, made a lot of different personal choices and changes for me in this short time, and probably have to do the same again in the future. But so open to choice and change, so open to change. I embrace it, I love it. And that's a big thing to change in yourself. You've got to be completely open for it. I have also lost 65 pounds in that 12 months, which is a huge amount of weight. I've smashed by 24 pounds or something what I originally, 21 pounds, what I originally set out to do in 12 months. So I've absolutely smashed that, and my mindset's changed on that again, where I thought I just want to get down to this level. I'm looking way down now, and I'm actually thinking about getting down to what science tells us is my ideal weight. We'll see, but so that's a great thing. Fitness wise, I'm pretty confident in saying I'm as fit today as I am as I've ever been since I was drinking, basically. I'm no athlete, far from it, but I've got a decent level of fitness where it makes me happy. And go, as we were yesterday, go fly up a couple of mountains and things like that.
I wouldn't say we flew up.
Well, no one flies up unless they're in a plane. But yeah, you know, there's just this level of fitness there for me that I really enjoy. Whether it be hiking, walking, cycling, whatever. Got to say, again, repeated, that the drink completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
It really has. And I'll finish up by probably saying I'm in control, total control of me now. I think that's the biggest thing that I've developed, that I've got such an understanding of how I work mentally and physically, that I can control everything now within me. That's not to say I won't have other brain farts in the future and possibly another slump, you know, but I know how to bring myself out of that fairly quickly. So for me, amazing 12 months. I'm saying it now, I'm filling up a bit. 12 months, fucking massive.
It is.
I've got having a proud moment.
You should be proud. You
Yeah,
have made
totally.
some major changes.
We.
No, I know, but we're talking about you right now.
Uh-huh.
It's been amazing to watch you transform yourself from the person I met a year ago, to see everything you've been through, your ups and downs, and you know, we talked about this recently with weight loss and like the before and after picture, and everyone loves to see the before and after picture. It's like,
Yeah.
oh wow, look at you then, and you're fat, and then afterwards, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not about the pictures. Yes, it's great to see a before and after.
Yeah.
It's all that work that goes on
Yeah.
in the middle bit, and it's
Yeah.
mental and it's emotional, and it's, you know, it's not just physical.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have an amazing before and after photo, but also story.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
all the bit in between.
Yeah.
And I do too.
You certainly do. For me, I think I'll shut it down on my bit. I think that's probably it for me. I'm just super proud. Couldn't have done it without this lady's help. But that's what sober partners are.
Yeah.
You know, you've got each other's back.
Mm.
Couldn't tell anyone out there who's struggling. I couldn't advise anything better to get a sober buddy, someone who you can find, have one-to-one with, and you know, just confine everything in them.
Yeah, but just on that, I
important.
mean, it's great to have a sober buddy that you have, you know, whether or not you share a sobriety date or if you get sober around the same time, but just the connection with so many other people, like the closeness of the friends that I've made on the group where you and I met. It's amazing. I can lean on, we touched on this earlier, but I can lean on any one of them at any time. And in early sobriety, that's really important. You put yourself out there and you start to make friends, but you know, you can talk to any of these people about anything, and you know, they've got your back. So,
Totally.
you know, I certainly couldn't have done what I did without you, but I also couldn't have done it without the support of,
Yeah.
you know, all these other,
Yeah,
you know,
and if I came across Ben, when I was just talking about Steph, I'm exactly the same, but there was lots of people who had my back and
but the
still do.
importance is the connection.
Of course it is.
The importance
Yeah.
is the connection, yeah.
Yeah, it's very important. So my last comment before I pass it over to you for your summary is, I was one of the people who, like you were, you might be watching this now thinking, I can never do that. I used to think that. I want to have clear white eyes. Look at that person, look how healthy they look. Oh, I could never do that. I was that person. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, if I can do it, you can do it. It's bullshit. You've got to do it yourself. but you've got to want to do it. I think in this video we've covered how you've got to do it. You've just got to get through it no matter what. 13 months ago, I was a raging alcoholic. 13 months later, I'm sat here in the UK in the beautiful countryside with Steph, who I've only just met in the last, properly met, you know, in real life. And we've had a blast for the last couple of days, just talking about everything in detail as we're putting on this video, and we've just come such a long way. And there's so much future for us now because of, we've got rid of that demon, you know, the world's my oyster, the world's your oyster to do with what you see fit with. So I'm going to shut up and let Steph have yours.
Right, so
Your summary.
thanks. My summary of where I'm at now. Yeah, I kind of feel like I've put those demons to rest. Not to say that I won't ever have issues again with addiction or eating disorders, but right now where I stand is drink has been put to bed. I'm done with that. I'm never going to drink again. I've known that all along, but I definitely can say it without any doubt now. As for the bulimia and anorexia and other, you know, my eating issues, I'm done with that now.
Yeah.
I'm good. You know, I can eat what I want, and you know, I've found a balance with eating healthy, exercising, not overdoing it, not over obsessing about it. I'm just in a really good place with my, you know, body, how I feel about myself, how I'm taking care of myself nutritionally, and just feeling really good. Sleep is great. Life is great. I'm coping well with, you know, life stuff that goes on, and I'm really in a good place. Yeah, that's kind of it for me from my summary of where I'm at in my sober journey. But to sum up kind of why we're sat here together right now, you know, I decided to make this trip over to the UK to meet the people who were absolutely paramount in my...
It's your sober network, isn't
my
it?
sober network. And I have to say though, just the fact that I'm in the UK as opposed to Australia, you know, sorry Craig, is, you know, it just so happens that on our Facebook support group there was a good chunk of people, especially the ones that I became close friends with, who were in the UK. So very excited to have met you know, some amazing people from our group, and we'll be meeting more.
She had, we're not no names or anything, but she had some absolutely, well, one absolutely mind-blowing donation which helped with the trip. We won't go into any names,
No,
but,
we won't, but
an amazing gesture,
yeah, someone on our group paid for my plane
you
ticket.
know, and other smaller gestures which just as much meaning,
Oh, yeah.
you know, amazing.
Yeah, it's
Incredible.
It's hard to put into words, the connection that we have with the people on our support network. So yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. I'm heading down to London soon. We'll be spending 5 nights with good friends from our group, one who's coming all the way from Australia, another from Ireland, and we're going to meet up with as many people from our group as we can, and it's just so exciting. So yeah, my advice to anyone who is you know, just starting off with this and wanting to get sober, again, like Glenn said, you know, yeah, you know, if I can do it, you can do it. Yeah, it's very cliche, but it's so true. I was just like you said, I was one of those people that thought, I'll never get this. I'm stuck. I'm absolutely trapped in this addictive cycle. And I was trapped in it for a long time, but I wasn't trapped. I could have made the choice at any time to do what I did and get out. It just took what it took, and that's going to be the case for everyone. It takes what it takes to get to that point. But you know, I did it, and I'm extremely grateful for, more than anything, for the connections and the friends I've made. You mainly, because, you know, you're my sober buddy, and I've really leaned on you a lot, but all of the other connections I've made, it's just
it's all strengthened you.
It has. I'm so grateful. So that's it. Happy 12. Toast with a cup of tea.
Lime cordial soda water.
Happy 12 months.
Cheers. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Here's to the next 12 months.
Here's the next 12 months.
See you later.
Bye.